Hi, I'm Tim, and for my final project, I've decided to talk about the opioid issue in America. I'm trying to illustrate it's an epidemic at the moment. A lot of young people are losing their lives to drugs such as heroin and Xanax, and prescription drugs such as Percocets. And it's just recently, over the past decade, the numbers have become staggering. Um, I'm just going to go ahead and start. I open the page with a documentary called "The American Epidemic." It's by the Wall Street Journal, and it illustrates kind of what these addicts go through on a day-to-day basis and like what their lives are like. At first, it introduces us to a man named Joe. He lives with his wife and his parents, and over the course of his addiction, he had stolen approximately $200,000 from both of them in order to fuel his habit, and it resulted in his parents having to file for bankruptcy. But at this point in the documentary, Joe's been clean for 6 months, and I think that it just illustrates that with a powerful support network, it aids a lot in fixing issues like this. It makes it a lot easier to quit, I believe. It then shows us a woman named Michelle, and the thing about Michelle is her daughter died, and Michelle became the guardian for her two children, or her grandchildren at that point, but she has to become their mother because their mother died from opioids. The children are 5 and 7, and while they were with the mother, they were neglected. She details a time where she came at the house to get the kids, and it's just trashed. There's like literal 2-gallon jugs of vomit on the floor, and I think that the documentary shows that to illustrate that this issue goes beyond the user. It affects the user's loved ones and the community and those around them. It's much bigger than, it's not a victimless issue. Even if you don't have pity for addicts, it stretches beyond that. There are children at risk. It's just a terrible thing that's happening. Next, I have an article from the New York Times where it goes through the numbers. It talks about how this is the deadliest drug crisis in American history, like even further than when the war on drugs was declared about 30, 40 years ago. People under the age of 50, it kills more people than car accidents or guns in our country, which I think is ridiculous. I think the number is about 50,000 annually. It then talks about how people have access to drugs through the internet. It talks about the website Reddit, and there was a woman named Rachel Frazier in the forums, and about 2 weeks after she was requesting drugs, she turned up dead. I think it just, in a digital age, it just shows the kind of precautions. It shows, like, what can you do about that? How do you limit people from getting something when it's a click away? It's just really difficult to stop people when they can buy whatever they want from the comfort of their own homes. After that point of just showing how terrible this problem is, I went on to show some possible solutions. I included an Instagram post. It's from a group in Canada that is putting up a supervised injection facility where opiate addicts can come and be monitored as they shoot up. And I know the biggest concern with this is how it kind of it condones drug use. It allots it, but I think because it saves lives, if something saves one life, I think it's worth doing. I think it is a shame that these kind of things are banned in the U.S. I think that we should be providing more support for the addicts in this country because it affects tens of thousands at the least. Those numbers probably aren't accurate. It probably affects more people than that. And I think that by demonizing them, it puts them into endangering situations. Like the homeless go to shoot up under bridges or in abandoned houses and either hurt themselves or others just to get high. And I think by providing them a support network through the community, it could up the chances of them being in a positive environment where they would be more likely to get help than otherwise. In the same vein of that, I found a Facebook group called the Opioid Task Force, and it's a group in Massachusetts that aims to reduce opiate and heroin addiction and prevent as many overdoses as possible. It serves as a place for people who want to get better to come and talk to people. People in that community, they organize certain events where people can come together and kind of come up with solutions for the community, what they can do for the people who are suffering there, and just how they can aid it. Next, I included an article from Twitter that it discusses why marijuana could serve as a more beneficial option compared to opiates. And I don't like the glorification of marijuana. I don't like that it's showcased as like a holy, like, super drug that cures everything. I'm sure there are certain medical uses, but I think it gets a lot, I don't know. But anyway, I do think that it would be effective. Actually, in places such as Colorado, where recreational medical marijuana is available, it correlates with a lesser number of people either using opiates and people overdosing from them, because they have a safer alternative that alleviates pain just as well, if not better. And there's a much less risk involved when using marijuana compared to drugs such as heroin or Xanax. In my conclusion, I state that I think it's really important that the nation come together and help citizens that are sick instead of demonizing them. I think it intensifies the suffering that they're going through, and it doesn't really help anyone. It makes whoever's doing the pointing, it makes them feel better, it puts them on a high horse. And I understand that. I don't think we should condone